All right, we're back to Monero Talk. Adam's back. Sorry about that. Where did we leave off? I think we were having.
Well, you're giving the WikiLeaks scenario. If they say
Correct.
it's okay, you did something bad. Now you're in big trouble. How should Bitcoin progress at that point? Well, I say this: the developers working on it at that point will come up with some sort of scenario that can defeat that. Where people in the future, if they are a controversial organization, they will be able to get anonymous donations. There'll have to be some for that to work in that country. Now, again, if you're an individual that's experiencing that type of tyranny, you take your Bitcoin, you move to another jurisdiction, and I'm a firm believer that there will always be jurisdictions that aren't going to be that tyrannical, that aren't going to have the manpower or the will to enforce such rules upon such ridiculous rules upon people. And maybe that's what cryptocurrency helps bring about. Some nations that are crypto friendly, some that are not, and people will choose between the two. But I mean, the point that you're trying to make, though, is that, well, then maybe WikiLeaks should just accept Monero at that point. I mean, and that will be an option too. That would be a legitimate option for them. If Bitcoin is failing them and all their people that are donating them are getting arrested, then they will go to Monero. It's the marketplace will speak. They will have to go to Monero at that point, or Zcash, or whatever, some private aspect. So for that type of transaction, that scenario, if that is so important to people, they will switch to the privacy coins at that point.
All right. How about security of the blockchain itself? Obviously, there's arguments to be made as to why Bitcoin is more secure than Monero, given the amount of hash power. But how about the future security of the coin? So with Monero, there's a tail emission. So we know that Monero will always be mined. But with Bitcoin, we know that one day that mining's miners will no longer receive a block reward because of the 21 million cap. So is there an unknown there with Bitcoin security in the future? Obviously, there's going to be transaction fees, but isn't there a little bit of an unknown with the security of the blockchain, given that we don't really know how it's going to play out in the future?
Obviously, in the year 2130, things will be a lot different now. That's one thing I will say. When they're no more.
Yeah, but it's dropping pretty fast, right? So obviously, 2130 is when we actually hit that wall. But there's going to be a lot less coin.
One of the interesting scenarios that people have gone over is that it won't be the same entities mining anymore. There will be entities that are so dependent on Bitcoin and maintaining its wealth that they will mine at a loss. They won't care what the reward is at all. They will just mine it to keep it going because their whole entire enterprise is based around Bitcoin. So that's one scenario that's been shared with me. Let's see how it plays out. Every halving, they say, oh, it's gonna die this halving because the miners aren't gonna be getting as much, but it keeps going. At the same time, the transaction fees can go up by a lot also. That can compensate the miners. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm not too worried about the far future yet, and I'm not worried about the upcoming halving because I've heard this hype before that it's not going to be worth the miners' while anymore. And there are creative solutions like new type of miners that are just so dependent. Their businesses are so dependent on Bitcoin. They don't care how much they're getting as long as they're keeping it alive.
Do you use Monero? Do you ever send it around? Have you?
Yeah, so I have received it. People have, at the beginning of part one, when people were trying to tell me how great Monero was compared to Dash, people sent me Monero. So I have sent Monero. And at that time, I thought it was, there was that third input line you had to put in there sometimes. It was more complex to send than a Bitcoin, which I thought was unfortunate. Was going to, again, make it more of a niche type of thing. It was harder to send than a Bitcoin. That is what I remember. But I have not sent it for a while. But I have sent it. And I have definitely received it. What's that third aspect called?
What was the payment ID?
Yes,
that's probably what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So payment IDs have essentially been removed at this point. That was a little bit of a flawed user experience there, but a necessity at the time.
Yes.
Then there was integrated addresses, but for all intents and purposes, payment ID no longer exists on Monero for users. So I mean, I guess this is a good time to actually roll into our sponsors. So we're sponsored by Cake Wallet. So do you have Cake Wallet? What wallet do you use?
The one that I experimented with was Fluffy Pony's wallet. The web. It was the web wallet. Monero.org. Was it that? Was
My Monero.
So I don't want to give the wrong one because people have made mistakes and end up getting their Moneros stolen. Because it was My Monero. Whatever it was. Yeah, the one that Fluffy Pony did. That was web based. That one.
There's web based, and then they built an app as well. The difference between they have an iOS wallet as well. Difference between My Monero and Cake is My Monero kind of sacrifice some of the ability to securely you could hold your own keys on both, but with My Monero there's a potential that your transactions can be seen because you're giving up your view key. So if you want the most ideal Monero experience, we recommend Cake Wallet on this show. Cake Wallet is open source. You hold your own keys and you don't give up your view key. With that, you're losing some of the user experience that My Monero has because it allows essentially the wallet to load faster. But in keeping with the purity of what Monero is supposed to be about and being able to control your own keys completely and maintain perfect privacy, Cake Wallet is the way to go. And so they currently have an iOS wallet, and they'll be coming out with an Android wallet as well. And then our second sponsor is XMR.to. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're basically a way to seamlessly transfer your Monero into Bitcoin. So wherever Bitcoin is accepted, if you have Monero and you want to send it, you can seamlessly send it to a Bitcoin address. So it's kind of a way to anonymously, use Bitcoin by owning Monero and then having that seamlessly be transferred into Bitcoin whenever you send it. Are you aware of XMR.to?
No, that sounds very interesting, actually. XMR. What is it?
XMR.to. I'm sorry. XMR.to. So definitely check them out. So they're integrated into Cake. So it kind of gives you a seamless experience there. So you could hold your Monero on your Cake wallet, and then when you want to spend it anywhere that Bitcoin's accepted, you could essentially use the XMR.to function on Cake to send it to any Bitcoin address. XMR.to.
All right, there we go.
Those are our two sponsors.
I'm learning something from the advertisements. It's good they're advertising on you, man.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
I got it open, and I will look. That sounds like a very interesting combo tool there. It's interesting. That's good. Yeah, I'll probably talk about that soon. I'll look at that. Look at that. I'm learning stuff. Pound that like button, everyone. All right.
So I mean, so where do you see this all going then? What's your take? What's kind of the next steps for the crypto space? We're starting to see governments show more curiosity. We saw China talking about launching their own version of a digital currency. What's your take on what's going to be the big thing in 2020? What's kind of the next big thing?
Well, I mean, the scheduled thing is the Bitcoin halving, and last time there was a lot of hype leading up to it. More articles about cryptocurrency come out during the lead up to the halving, and more people find out about it. That in fact, cryptocurrency is not dead, because some people think that it's dead because of what they read in the mainstream media after the last up cycle there. So I think we're going to have a lot more interest in writing about it in 2020. And then after the halving, probably some more price increase for Bitcoin, probably some for the altcoins. I think we'll have by 2021 again, there'll be another hype cycle. All the altcoins will have their chance to shine again because people will want to get into the next Bitcoin. So I hope all these coins like Monero, like the Mimblewimble ones and everything, they're ready because there will be people pouring into it. A lot of naive people too. And there will be a chance. So right now we're still it's still a down market in terms of interest. What you mentioned, countries and bigger entities are working on this stuff behind the scenes. There's more of a mainstreaming of Bitcoin and DeFi. They're trying to do this DeFi on Ethereum. So there's a lot of financial products that are being created and just are getting ready for a transition where more people come back into the space again. So this is the time to buy. I mean, this is definitely the time to buy because there is not a lot of hype now. We've seen the hype cycles before, and we're going to see it again. So I would be prepared for the Bitcoin halving, followed by all sorts of hype of all sorts of coins and Bitcoin in 2021. That's something big that I see on the horizon. I mean, as for people in Bitcoin, they're working on the Lightning Network. They're saying that involves that's going to make things a little bit more private on the second layer. We shall see. There are a lot of people working on a lot of different projects. I mean, there's like a Lightning Network podcast now. So there's specialization within Bitcoin. I see that going on. But I still see innovation on Ethereum with the DeFi stuff and with this Mimblewimble hype that's on the horizon. That seems like it's getting closer every day. All these Mimblewimble people talking about how great it is. So people are experimenting with the privacy stuff too. So I mean, I love it. We're entering a golden age. The 2020s is going to be a golden age for cryptocurrency. So I am obviously a Bitcoin is the number one thing type of guy, but I have no problem with these altcoins trying to experiment with all sorts of different, whether it be privacy or other or governance or whatever they come up with next. Good luck to everyone. And I just more younger people are getting further and further away from being connected to like the old monetary system. And they're totally enthralled with technology. Everything they do is technological now. So for the people saying that we're going to go backwards and just go to people holding old gold and that we're getting further and further away from that. And so I just see the youth getting more interested in this stuff. So the 2020s is going to be very good for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Do you think the halving could potentially be priced in already? I mean, do you think you might see a little bit of a drop after the halving?
Oh, no, we will see a little drop. I think it'll be the same thing as last time. Right now, most people have no idea what the halving is. Most people in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin even, have no idea what the halving is because they weren't around for the last halving. They didn't get a lot of people that got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. They didn't get involved because of scarcity and deflation and all that stuff. Who knows what reasons they got in. So at the end of this year, if we're approaching the beginning of 2020, they will start to realize it, and people will start to figure out, wait a second, there's not going to be as much new Bitcoin mined after May. So they start buying it up, and the price starts rising. That's what happened going into the 2016. But by the time the halving occurred, it had gotten as high as like $750 before the halving. By the time the halving occurred, it was like below $650. And it got after the halving, it went even below that. But when people started realizing, or the market started reacting, there was less Bitcoin being put out there. Miners weren't even selling as much Bitcoin. They were hoarding their Bitcoin because they want to stay in business. So by the end of 2016, the price did begin to rise, and then 2017, it really started to rise. So I foresee something like that happening again. So I do not think it is priced in yet because the market as a whole doesn't know about it yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you familiar with Monero's emission curve? And obviously, we spoke about the tail emission a little bit, but overall, are you familiar with how Monero works?
One thing that I heard about it that people have tried to, I didn't get too interested in this, that it was unlimited, that there was no limit on the Monero that's ever going to be produced, that has not been finalized yet.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Monero hits a nominal amount. I believe it's in what year? It's I don't know what year exactly. 2022, I believe it is when it hits its nominal amount, and then there's a tail emission at that point. So essentially, all of Monero will be produced by 2022, and then from there on after there'll be what's called a tail emission, which is something like zero point 0.2 Monero released every 2 minutes, I believe it is. Could be might be slightly inaccurate about that, but yeah. So it's essentially it's not capped, which is what the point I was trying to make earlier, which ensures its security because it will forever be mined for the block reward. And that's one of the thinkings there in terms of its architecture. But what a lot of people don't realize is, despite that, there's currently less Monero than Bitcoin, and it's inflating at a slower rate currently than Bitcoin in terms of the amount of Bitcoin that's being released right now, and it's going to be that way for I think the next 9 years. So Bitcoin is currently growing faster than Monero in terms of the amount of coins being emitted, which is interesting if you're talking about kind of the economics of these things. So Bitcoin has that step function with its release. Monero, it's more of a smooth curve, but overall, it's currently emitting coins at a slower rate than Bitcoin, and it's inflating slower than Bitcoin, which a lot of people don't realize.
At this juncture, it is, but at it'll be inflating. It'll change in 9 years. The Bitcoin will be less.
Well, there'll be less Monero than Bitcoin up until the year 2040. Yeah. It's around the year 2040 when you'll start to see the amount of Monero pass the 21 million mark.
Well, this is a very interesting thing you're bringing up, and you brought it up beforehand. What are we to do when the people aren't getting as much? The reward keeps getting cut in half, and perhaps it's not going to be worth their while anymore. This is one of the social attack vectors of Bitcoin that people say that they should do something more like Monero is doing. There should be 40 million coins instead of 21 million coins. And the beauty of all that, maybe the emission schedule is not perfect. People can fork off and create their own Bitcoin. And this is going to be the next big thing. We had the whole scaling debate. They formed Bcash because they wanted bigger blocks. The next big debate in Bitcoin, you asked me before, what's next? I think are going to be people saying there should be 42 million Bitcoin instead of 21 million Bitcoin, or whatever. Some change in the emission schedule, and that will be a big debate. That topic that you brought up beforehand, and I think someone will fork off a 42 million Bitcoin or something that will be different, and we'll see what the market decides. I'm pretty confident. I'm one of those hardcore people that says it must stay the way it is. This is why people bought into it. A lot of people bought it. You just can't change the rules of the game. You just can't change the rules of the game. Is what I'm sticking with. But there are plenty of people that think that no, this is not sustainable. That the schedule is not good. This every 4-year halving, it's not going to be enough to satisfy the miners. We need more coins. We need some different type of reward system for the miners. So someone will change it. Someone will fork off another Bitcoin, and the world can decide what the real Bitcoin is. And I'm pretty confident it'll be the 21 million Bitcoin. But interesting that you bring that up, though.
Mm-hmm. So I think we covered a lot. I think your to summarize, I think your big belief, not to put words in your mouth, but is kind of this. Because Bitcoin has the first mover advantage and the network effect, it's currently the king, and it will maintain its place as the king because of its first mover advantage.
Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the next
Bitcoin. Despite flaws that it has,
yes,
because it has that lead, it will forever maintain that lead. Is that?
Yes,
Is that a
Bitcoin,
fair?
and there are. I think there are. You brought up legitimate privacy flaws, legitimate scenarios that could happen. It's not
But
perfect.
being the disrupt Meister, I mean, I have to imagine you believe in disruption. That's how we got Bitcoin in the first place.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is disrupting fiat currency. It's disrupting the dollar. So what's to stop the more pure crypto from disrupting Bitcoin itself?
Because Bitcoin, if the world demands that, if it really needs privacy, Bitcoin can just incorporate that. It can become private at the base layer if need be. It can be. So I mean, it's got that advantage where so many people are already holding it, using it, first mover advantage, and it could make a change if it was being threatened. Its dominance was being threatened. If it was a demand out there for privacy, it could be incorporated, and it would become a stronger juggernaut at that point. At this point, as you can tell, I think that the privacy people can keep on working on the privacy stuff, and that right now that the demand overall for privacy is not. It just isn't. For some people, it's there, but it's just not there yet. But again, Bitcoin is not perfect. I think we can agree on that definitely.
All right. Anything else you want to chat about?
Yeah, first of all, I'm drinking water, people. Always good to be hydrated. Yeah, you can check me out at TechBalt, TECHBALT on Twitter, and just disruptmeister.com. You can see all these old videos. But I say keep on innovating, people. Keep on, in your altcoins. I am definitely not. I mean, some people are threatened by altcoins. You shouldn't be threatened by altcoins. You should let people explore the crypto world any way they want to. You do what you do. No one's hurting you. By pumping Monero, talking about Monero, fixing Monero, whatever. Just let people, and even the Monero people, you should let people fork off of you too. Don't be threatened. If you've got the best thing, have confidence on it. Keep on working on it. And I love the innovation that's going on in the whole crypto space. And again, I think we're entering. I would tell young people today just to get into some aspect of cryptocurrency. I would say Bitcoin, but whatever you want to do, there's going to be a lot of opportunities out there for marketing people to technical people to media people in the 2020s in this space. So I'm really happy to be in it. And I thank you for letting me be on your show and you being on my show and telling me about this Jitsi way of broadcasting again. This is going to help me a lot. So thank you.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. Great show. Maybe we can talk again in the future. This is great.
Yes.
Really appreciate the candor.
Yes.
I will continue to tune into your show. I think you have a lot of great guests on there. You're always what I like about you is you've been very consistent. From day one. Lots of times I bring people on here and I try to catch them on their hypocrisies. So there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists out there. And I try to catch them on what I think they're being hypocritical about, which is they kind of believe in one thing about Bitcoin. And you obviously do as well, the censorship resistance, but you're always very honest about it and open to the idea that, Bitcoin might not be perfect. You even just said it, it has its flaws. So I like that you've always been very open and honest and consistent, and you've avoided being hypocritical in this space, which is very hard to do. So I admire you for that. Keep on doing what you're doing. It's good stuff, man.
Well, I got the conviction. Pound that like button, people. Pound that like button right here and now.
All right, Adam. It was nice meeting you, man.
Yes, I will see ya.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Ciao.
Ciao.